Callisto Protocol is fast approaching, and it's safe to say that this is my most anticipated game and has been for a while now. The spiritual successor to Dead Space is looking like it could be one of the most brutal and creepy action horror games in recent years. So in today's video, I'm just going to be going over the gameplay that we've been given so far, giving my thoughts on it, a couple of things I might be worried about, but mostly why I'm so excited for it. So after looking over the gameplay we have for Callisto Protocol right now, one game franchise comes to mind. Apart from the obvious similarities to Dead Space, Callisto Protocol definitely looks like it could play a lot like both the Last of Us games. Yes, this is the game that I predominantly cover on my channel, and both the Last of Us games are two of my favourites of all time. One similarity that instantly draws me in is the brutal combat, blood and gore system. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm a sucker for a game with a good level of dismemberment and brutality, and this is absolutely no exception. We'll also be battling against zombified, for lack of better word, enemies. And believe it or not, I'm also a sucker for zombie killing games. Whilst both the Last of Us games have a good balance of human and infected enemies, it looks like we'll just be getting the standard alien infected enemies here, but I'm fully on board with it. So just looking at the most recent gameplay we've been given here, it looks like we'll get to use some sort of plasma gun, which is pretty cool, and the blood effects after every shot look really impressive. When a game gets blood trails and combat right, it can take it from an average gaming experience to a great game in my eyes. We can also see an enemy type that will fire some sort of acidic projectiles at us, which will give us something to think about and will definitely vary the gameplay up significantly. I'm not sure at this point whether or not it's a regular enemy type or an enemy type from early in the game, or if it's some sort of mini boss that we'll come across every once in a while, like a bloater from The Last of Us. Either way, I can't wait to see what other gross and creepy enemy types we'll get to see when the game releases. So my main and really only concern coming into this game, and just looking at the gameplay we've been given so far, is the sort of gravity weapon, gravity gun, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a weapon or a tool that allows you to grab an enemy and move them completely at your will. This gameplay segment shows us this in action, where our character grabs an enemy and throws them into some sort of turbine-like contraption and completely obliterates them. Now yes, on paper this looks absolutely awesome, however my concern is just how overpowered it could potentially be and how often we'll actually be able to use it. If it's just a tool that's at our disposal whenever we need it, this could make combat segments very stale very quickly and just repetitive, as we'll be able to have this pretty much wonder weapon to fall back on whenever we're in trouble. Now my best guess is that we'll have some sort of cooldown mechanic which will prevent players from overusing it and becoming reliant on it, and that will help keep the gameplay and combat fresh and interesting. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I have full faith that they'll figure out a great system for it that will keep the gameplay fresh and we won't have to use it too often. So just going back to the brutal nature of this game, Callisto Protocol takes things to a whole new level with its brutal animations. There's a multitude of ways that the main character can meet his demise, and each one is as brilliantly violent as the last. Take a look at some of these. So it's no secret that Callisto Protocol has taken heavy inspiration from the Dead Space franchise. From the setting to the enemies, the tone, gore system and combat, there's a lot of inspiration. Now this is by no means a bad thing, and obviously the original creators of Dead Space are involved in the development of Callisto Protocol. The main thing I'm really wondering is whether or not the gore system will heavily impact the gameplay just like it did in Dead Space. I'm obviously referring to having to shoot the limbs off of the enemies in order to immobilize them and take them down. I don't know whether or not that will be implemented into Callisto Protocol or whether it's just a free-for-all and there's more variation and creativity in how you can take down the enemies. But we'll have to wait and see, not long to go now anyway. So guys, that's just a little look into my thoughts on Callisto Protocol, why it's my most anticipated game and it has been for a while. So what are your thoughts? Are you excited as me? Share your thoughts in the comments below, leave a like to support the channel, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching guys, and I'll see you again soon. See ya.